Welcome to the second video on technique. Um, the topic is called mismatch. In in the end game, usually closer to the end of the game, you get a scenario where if you have pieces on the king side, they kind of fight on the king side, and if you have pieces on the queen side, they fight on the queen side. Um, it becomes very important if a person can have a superiority of 2 to 1 on one area of the board. This scenario, we call it mismatch. It sounds much more complicated in words than in practice. So I'll demonstrate. Let's look at the position in front of us. Um, White in this position is a position which looks like it's better. But if he just plays without thinking through, let's say b5, take on b5, take on b5, Black will play king f6, and after, let's say, rook b4, attacking the pawn, Black will play king g5. And it's not so easy for White to make progress in this position because rook endings are not as simple as other endings. So it's important in this original position that White understands the concept of mismatch. So ideally, you would start with check. And the best way I can say of finding this move, rook f3 check first, is if you look through Kapov's games, if in endings he had an opportunity to push your king into a worse position, you would with an intermediate move like this check. You notice that the king cannot improve its position. So after check, the king goes to g5, and then he supports the pawn. Now, Black's king is useless where it is. It cannot attack the rook, it cannot attack the h pawn. It's just busy being there, just waiting. So White's plan is very simple. He wants to play b5, and after a b5, king b4, king a5, he's going to escort this pawn. Since you have a 2 versus 1 scenario, that's what we call 2 to 1 mismatch. So Black goes check, and White goes king b3, and now rook b6 would fail to b5, and after pawn takes a5, and let's imagine a scenario like this. White will play here and take the pawn and will promote that pawn, or here White will again play king b5, push pawn a6, follow with the king, and you would promote. So after this check, king b3, Black decided to play the move rook c1, and after b5, pawn takes on b5, pawn takes on b5, d5, rook d3. If now rook c5, king b4, and here White is clearly winning. So this is the technique which we call mismatch, and starting from here, you can get the idea. After b5, take, so it wouldn't work. So you instead starts with rook f3 check, and after this, king c4, rook c6, king d3, and after rook c1, he's got the mismatch that he's looking for. The king will assist the pawn, and that position is winning. Second position, to help us look at this mismatch situation, is in this position. You see a position where White has got a bishops of opposite color, although he's got an extra pawn. These bishops tend to make winning positions very difficult. So Here, white found a very nice idea. He played bishop takes a7. Now, black was hoping on this threat, which would capture the bishop, but white had foreseen a mismatch in this position. So after king c7, um, white played f4, and after king b7, bishop took on b6, and king takes on b6, and white played g5. It's not so clear here how white will create the mismatch, but you'll see shortly. So after g5, white is a king plus pawn versus bishop situation, a mismatch on the king side. Of course, here, black would lose after, let's say, pawn takes g5, pawn takes g5, bishop f5, king f4, and after bishop h7, king e5. And what white is hoping to do is he wants to play king e6, king f7, take this pawn, and you will queen. And the black king cannot help his bishop. If the bishop goes to g8, the king will come d6, here, and still be able to attack the g pawn and assist the pawns in promoting. So after bishop h, after king e5, let's say king c6 is another idea. So here, so if g5 doesn't work, if take, and he plays king c6, king f4, and after king d6, you play h6. And here, pawn takes, bishop g8, king f5, and after king g6, again the pawn will promote. The king cannot stop these pawns on its own. So going back to the beginning position, so after bishop a7, king c7, f4, king b7 takes on b6, king takes on b6, g5. Black tried bishop f5, and after g6, king c6, white played h4, king h4, and after bishop e6, if he wants to play king d6, he can play, but after this move, he can't. He's just going to lose. If he goes, let's say, bishop h7, king will come and attack. So to give you an idea, bishop g8, king will come. If this king comes here, you go there, and if check, the king goes here, is going to promote this pawn. If you come for this pawn, the a pawn will promote. There's always an idea that the king can't really get over invested on the king side because the a pawn can promote any time. So going back, after g6, king c6, king h4, bishop e6, h6 by white, pawn takes on h6, king to h5, and after king to d6, king takes on h6. And you can see here that the bishop and the king are struggling with the number of pawns that they have to deal with. And after king e7, pawn push to g7. And here, I think maybe it dawned on black that he can't defend both sides. If he goes bishop g8, then king g6, we're back to that position we looked at. And the idea is that after king e6, you can just simply play a4 and draw the white king. The black king definitely take these 2 pawns should be able to promote. So a simple, no, not so simple, mismatch scenario, but this is the concept of mismatch that I'm talking about. Lastly, I want to look at this a simple version of mismatch. Here, sometimes a simple trade of pieces will create a mismatch. Black here has got good drawing chances if his knight and king reach the king side. So, for instance, if knight d7, um, his knight will be able to reach the king side quickly. But here, black played king e7. Let's see. Um, Black played king e7, and this is a mistake. King e7 creates a mismatch, and after rook b4, this is the move that you are supposed to avoid by playing knight d7. Because now when I play rook b4, you can avoid this, let's say by attacking the pawn, and you are not forced to exchange pieces. But by playing king e7, you allowed this exchange um, of pieces. You can't ignore, you can't move the knight, the castle, because the knight falls. You can move the knight, but then the exchange will still happen. So Black decided to take on b4 because actually knights struggle with rook pawns. So if he had played something like this could have been worse. So instead he took on b4, and after a b4, um, the black king can win the b pawn um, with a move like king d6, and if you go h4, king c6, and king b5. So you can win the pawn, but then you won't be able to catch the knight won't be able to stop the king side pawns on its own. So black tried to, after a b4, to save time with knight c6. After b5, knight d4, b6, king went to d7, and white started with the furthest pawn with h5, h4, sorry. And after king c6, um, white played h5, and after knight e6, um, black went h6. So black went knight f8, and after king g3, king takes b6, king f4. A knight versus a king and two connected pass pawns isn't even close to stopping this match. So you went king c7, white went king f5, and after king d7, white went king f6. And now king e8, white went king g7. And now after king e7, h7, knight takes, king takes, h7. And this pawn will promote in this ending. So a very clear idea of what mismatch is. The moment you have got more pieces on one side of the board, more than your opponent, creates a scenario where your opponent can't stop you. Okay, so I hope you've got the second uh, element of technique, which we call mismatch, and hope it's useful in your games.